Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Mossy Smart. Let's jump right into this week's questions. Alright, first question comes from Dekunut from the forums. Do you think that Linkle will become a staple female Link for the series, or just a one-off Hyrule Warriors character? I think we will see Linkle sometime in the future, but I'm not quite sold on the idea of Linkle being in the main franchise just yet. I think there's a chance that we do get a female Link to an extent. I know it's a rumor, but that's been floating around for Zelda Wii U that there will be like a male or a female option for Link. And I think there's a few ways they can do this. One, they can just make it a new character model, like there's a male version and a female version, and you can choose at the beginning of your quest. The other idea I think they could do is sort of make Link just like visually, physical appearance, just looks somewhat gender neutral to an extent. Not to say that it's like a mixture of the genders or whatever, but it's just that if you look at it, you can't tell if that's a male or a female. I remember when they first released the Zelda Wii U trailer, there was people that were like, Link looks a little bit more feminine. Is that a girl or a boy? Something like that, so that people don't really know. And then it works either way, male or female. I know that could affect the storyline a little bit, in particular. Like, I know almost most of these Zelda games, Link usually has some sort of love interest, whether it's like in Ocarina of Time, Balin or Princess Ruto or of that nature. And that could sort of change how somebody looks at other characters if they have a love interest with Link, whether it's a Link female or male. But maybe they adjust the story, maybe they don't. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying at this point, but I don't think Linkle will be a selectable character as opposed to Link. If that makes sense. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my thoughts. Alright, next question comes from Alex Valenti from YouTube. Do you prefer a child Link protagonist or an adult Link? Well, I kind of like the more ambiguous one. Sort of like when I think of like the 2D top-down games. Link to the Past, or Oracle of Seasons, Oracle of Ages, you don't really know just by playing the actual game how old Link is. I mean, if you read the instruction manual and some of the lore that comes along with the game, you find out that information, but it's kind of ambiguous. Link could be like, if you're just playing Oracle of Ages or something, maybe Link is 10, maybe he's 17, who knows? And it doesn't really matter for the game's perspective, so I don't think it's a big deal, but in general, I kind of like the charm of playing as a child, and I think it gives more of an adventure feel to it, to an extent. Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, Spirit, you're a child, you're a little kid, and I don't think that restricts the adventure. I mean, this is a fantasy world to begin with, so it's not necessarily realistic. It's not like, he's only 9 years old. He can't even drive. How is he going to go on this event? No, I mean, this is its own universe, and it doesn't really matter. But I think the child adventure is just more attractive to me. I just think maybe it makes me think of my childhood a little bit. But and I don't think adults have any problem playing as a kid. I'm not sure if that's. I don't have a problem playing as a child character. I don't know if the majority of the Zelda fan base thinks that way though. Maybe a lot of fans that grew up with, say, Wind Waker, for example, and they're now people that are in their mid-20s or upper 20s like myself, and you're like, well, I don't want to play as a 10-year-old. I like to play as a teenager. That's somebody you can still represent as yourself. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think it matters, but I do like the charm of the child realm of Wind Waker. Next question comes from Falls from YouTube. What are your top 3 Ocarina of Time dungeons? Well, last week I answered the Skyward Sword top 3 dungeons. This week it's Ocarina of Time. I don't know. Really quick, I would say the Forest Temple is probably my favorite one. It's the first big dungeon in the game. And I love the music. I love it. It's kind of disorienting the first time you play it. There's a lot of paths you can go down. There's a lot of dead ends. It's somewhat confusing. Good dungeon. Very well done. I like the Poe quest in the midst of the dungeon. Phantom Ganon was an okay final boss or dungeon boss, but I love it. I think it's a good dungeon. After that one, I like the Great Deku Tree. I think it's probably one of the most well done introductory dungeons. It's so early in the game too. Other games like Twilight Princess or Majora's Mask, you gotta work a little bit before you actually get to the first dungeon. Ocarina of Time, you pick up the controller you've never played before, 20 minutes in, you could be at the Great Deku Tree. For some people, it's like 5 minutes and you're at the Deku Tree. So, and it's just really well done. It's still pretty elaborate for a first dungeon. There's a lot of puzzle solving, and I like that it's very puzzle oriented. And Queen Goma is a good boss. After that, I like the Spirit Temple. I like the idea of returning to it as a child and then going back as an adult. Like I like that. In particular, Master Quest, you go back from you go child, adult, child. Like you do it multiple times. And I think that's cool. I think it's fun and it's well done. And yeah, but I think Ocarina of Time has a lot of solid dungeons in general. Fire Temple is nice. Water Temple is a little confusing, but it's fun. I like it. In fact, I can't really think of many weak dungeons. The Dango's Cavern, that was still a good dungeon. I mean, every one of them is good. I even like the sub-dungeons, the Ice Cavern and the Gerudo Training Ground. Very well done. And the final dungeon, Ganon's Tower, is awesome. So, but yeah, I named my 3. I stick by it. Next question is, what is your favorite final boss from the Zelda series and why? That comes from Josh Birchman. I thought I might have answered this a few weeks ago, but I think A Link to the Past, Ganon. I think that's my favorite boss. Part of that might be nostalgia. It's my favorite Zelda game. And I think that in that game, I view Ganon as the hardest boss in that game. I think he's legitimately difficult. And I don't think I can say that the final boss is always the most difficult boss in the Zelda series, in most Zelda games. But in A Link to the Past, I think it is. I just like it. I like that. I like the atmosphere. You fall into the pyramid of power that there's a hole. Music is good, and it's just epic to me. I just really enjoy it. I think it's one of the best. Not to say that there aren't other great boss battles. In fact, I think fighting Dark Link in All Adventure of Link, that was a bit of a spin, of a twist. Now we've seen that multiple times in Zelda games, but that was a good one. In general, I think Zelda has done the vast majority of the final bosses have been solid. I'm not a big fan of the Link's Awakening, Death Eye, I should say. I didn't like the multiple forms. It just felt strange. It was unique though, but one of the weaker final bosses. Other than that, just going through the series, I think Majora was a weak final boss. I didn't really enjoy that one. And I have some, Ganondorf and Twilight Princess I thought was a little too easy. And Bellum and Phantom Hourglass wasn't exactly the most exciting final boss. I did like the multiple phases, Bellum, then Lineback, then the pirate ghost ship, then Lineback. It was, at least they mixed it up a little bit. A lot of these final bosses have multiple phases that are drastically different from one another. Majora's another one of those. And those are kind of cool. Like the Link to the Past Ganon is just one. There's multiple phases of the battle, but only one form of Ganon, unless you consider Aghanim part of it. But anyway, yes. Next question comes from the Tusk Players. Do you know if they have fixed any glitches in the new Twilight Princess remake? I'm not sure if they fixed all of them, but a couple weeks ago, I know Trevor was playing a live stream over at the Zelda Dungeon Twitch channel, and he was trying out some of the glitches. And in particular, he was able to get into the Lake Bed Temple, like to glitch through the boulder without having to break it. Anyways, a glitch I wasn't even fully aware of, but I saw him doing it. So it leads me to believe that it's still the same code, it's still the same structure. So I don't think they actually fundamentally changed any of the code to get rid of or any new glitches. Maybe, but I don't think so. Next question comes from Seth Hoffner from YouTube. Out of all of Link's sidekicks throughout the series, such as Navi, Tatl, and Midna, which one is your favorite and why? I think I would say Midna. Midna had the most character. I mean, Navi and Tatl, and then there's also like Eslo and Sela and other, sidekick characters. Midna had a lot of character and was sort of essential to the storyline. I also think Sela from Phantom Hourglass was also very essential to the story, and I think I actually like her as well because her character evolves. She's just a fairy, but it evolves as the story progresses. And maybe it's because it's a handheld and the game doesn't take the sidekick as serious, but it was fun. And I don't know if you consider Lineback a sidekick, but he's sort of there. I think he's also one of my favorites. He's just so quirky and funny, and he's kind of cool. I would say Eslo is probably the most annoying one. This just interrupts you way too often. It's just awkward and I don't like it. And long speeches and everything. Navi is like sort of the default annoying one because of the vocal sounds. But next question comes from Star Warrior 64. How would you feel about Zelda CD-I HD Remakes? There was actually an April Fool's joke of just that, HD remakes of the CD-I games. It looks awful, but it's hilarious. I'll post it here somewhere. Alright, that's going to do it for this week's questions. If you want your questions answered, feel free to post them in the comments below at YouTube, over at Zelda Informer, or you can email me at webmaster@zeldadungeon.net. Until next week, take care.